An entire world is ready
for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness,
mastering the science of mindfulness,
and the art of coaching
to help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life
through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM certified wellness coach.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Strong Mind, Strong Body podcast. I'm your host, Angie Miller, and today we are going to talk about resetting your personal compass. And just keep in mind that you don't have to be lost to reset your compass. Sometimes it's like taking your car in for a tune-up or going to the doctor for an annual exam. Sometimes we just need to reset our compass so that we can reconnect with what matters most to us in life. Ultimately, so that we can lead our most meaningful life and we can avoid just going through the motions. A lot of times we're busy, but maybe we're not fulfilled. So wherever you're at, I'm so glad that you're joining me for this because I truly think that you are going to absolutely love this concept of resetting your compass. And I can't wait for you to deep dive into it with me. And also, I hope you'll share it with your clients, your friends, your family, and whoever else is interested in just a little reboot. Okay. So I think that throughout our lives, our priorities change, right? Our purpose shifts, the demands on our time and our energy changes. Sometimes we get started on a goal and then we get sidetracked. Maybe we're trying to please people or something happens in our life that we weren't expecting and we find ourselves going in a completely different direction than the way that we had originally intended to go. But don't panic because I think that resetting our compass is a powerful kind of pivotal experience. It helps you reconnect with what matters most so that every day has meaning. And again, so that we're not going through the motions. So maybe you're joining me because you just went through a big change. I don't know. Maybe it's not such a good change. Maybe you lost a job or you're going through a relationship breakup. Maybe you had a falling out with someone that you care about. Maybe none of those things happen. Maybe your life is just very steady state and status quo. Maybe it's so steady state that that's what made you want to join me today. Because maybe it just feels like you're just going through the motions and you are busy, but maybe you're not feeling as fulfilled as you want to feel. Or maybe you just know somebody who you feel like needs a reset and you're looking for some tools to help give them a little reboot and kind of a little kick in the seat. So whatever the reasons, I hope that you grab a cup of coffee, a hot tea, or maybe you grab a protein shake, whatever it is, grab a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, and let's get started. But just know this, if you're feeling a little lost, if you're joining me today and deep inside you're thinking, I do feel a little lost and I don't really know what's going on, I just want you to know that I think that being lost is kind of a good sign, because if you're aware that you're not comfortable, then you're actually awake. That means you're not going through the motions. You're not just living steady state. You're aware. You know you're uncomfortable and you're awake enough to say, I want to do something about this. So let's start with step one. Take out that piece of paper, maybe it's your laptop, your computer, whatever it is. And I want you just to draw a big circle with 4 different sections, or you can draw a square with 4 different sections, or you could just take 4 separate pieces of paper, because each section or part of the circle or square or each piece of paper is going to represent it's going to represent the north, the east, the south, and the west, because that is going to be your personal compass. We're actually going to make a personal compass. So in the north, I want you to write this question, but don't do anything with it yet. So in the north, I just want you to write, what are my core values? That's all you're writing. What are my core values? And again, don't write anything yet. In the East, write what is left to be done. ... What is left to be done? The chapter you have yet to write. In the South, if you would, write what's getting in my way. What is getting in my way? I don't know what that looks like, but we're going to get to it later. And then in the West, write, am I ready to get started? Because it's one thing to know what our values are. It's another thing to know what's getting in our way. And it's another thing to check in and say, but am I actually ready to get started? So once you've got those 4 things written and you're ready to go, let's deep dive. So let's start with the North. What are my core values? So when it comes to values and what gives you purpose and what makes you want to put your feet on the floor in the morning, I think that Stephen Hayes is like the holy grail of this. Stephen Hayes developed a type of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. And he is amazing because really the foundation of acceptance and commitment therapy is that in order to help people get more comfortable, they have to be living a life that aligns with their values. Otherwise, it always feels like they are swimming upstream. And so he says that when we define our values and we understand how deeply tied we are to our values, then we can live our lives accordingly. Because really and truly, our values are our compass. They are our personal compass. They give us direction if we stay true to them. And if we lose sight of them, well, we get pretty uncomfortable. We feel lost. And again, it feels like we're kind of swimming upstream. So I think that we learn our values starting with childhood. That's kind of the foundation. We're watching our parents to see how our parents raise us and guide us, what means the most to our parents. And ultimately, our values kind of determine how we show up in this world, the way that we behave toward others, the way that we treat ourselves, and the way that we treat those around us. So according to Hayes, in his acceptance and commitment therapy model, he says that getting clear on your values is really what is going to help you live the most meaningful life. And isn't that what we all want? We don't want to get to the end of our days and think, gosh, I just went through the motions, or I was busy all the time, but I didn't feel any joy, or I didn't feel fulfilled. So I have some questions for you to help you get in line with your values. Okay. So number 1, first and foremost, and again, I'm talking about resetting your personal compass. So my name is Angie Miller. This is our Strong Mind, Strong Body podcast. And I always like to talk about getting healthy from the inside out. So resetting our personal compass so that we can stay in line with what matters to us the most. So here's some questions to help you clarify your values. Number 1, when people show up to your funeral, how do you want them to remember you? All right. What are some words that you would hope that they would use to describe you, or stories that you hope that they would tell? So when people show up to your funeral, how do you want them to remember you? That's the first question. I actually went to a workshop with Stephen Hayes where we did this. We had to write our obituary, and we had to develop our funeral and say, these are the people that would be there. This is the things that I hope they would be saying about me. So number 2, speaking of that, what would your obituary say? What do you want it to say? For the person who writes it, what do you want them to say about you, and how do you want the world to remember you? And then another question to help you get in line with your values is deep down. If you were to peel away all the layers, like peeling an onion or peeling an orange, what really matters to you the most at your core? What is the real true meaning of a meaningful life for you? And then here's another one to help you tap into your values. If you had all the money you could ever want, money was a non-issue. You've got all the money you could ever want. How would you spend your time? And I guarantee you that's what would help you align with your values. Because some of you, I guarantee you out there, even if I said if you had all the money in the world, you would still look me in the eye and say, I would still get up and go to work every day. And I know that none of us really know that, but honestly, I think I would still get up and go to work every day because work gives me purpose. Work makes me feel like I'm making a difference. So again, I'm Angie Miller. We are talking on our Strong Mind, Strong Body podcast about how to reset your personal compass so you can live a life that is more in line with who you are and what makes your heart sing, so that you can get up out of bed every single day and make sure that you're on the right path, so that too much time doesn't go by and you end up looking back and saying, gosh, I wish I was 20 again, or I wish I was 30 again, or I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. I mean, it's hard to live a life with no regrets, but isn't the ultimate goal that we live a life with very few regrets, because we are really always kind of checking in with that compass and making sure that we're going where we need to go. So another question you could ask is, what do I stand for? You know, what makes me want to get on a personal pedestal, grab a microphone and tell everybody exactly how I feel? So what do I really stand for? All right. So when you think about your values, think about areas in your life that keep you grounded, areas in your life that make you feel like you're walking on solid ground, not walking on water or not walking on something that's unstable. What makes you feel confident? What makes you feel worthy at your core? And what makes you feel centered? So when you think about your values, again, think about what makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, things that drive and inspire you and make you want to dream big dreams. And also, when you're thinking about your values, think about your support network. Who are your wingmen? Okay. Who is the wind beneath your wings? Who is the one who's always propelling you and in your ear telling you that you can do it? Those people are part of your value system. So what are my values? Well, I had to do a little deep dive with this. And so my values is my family, first and foremost. I want to show up for the people I love. I want to make sure that at the end of my days, people say, she was a good listener, or she made me feel seen. She made me feel like I was heard and like I was valued. My values are spending time with those that I love. I also love my work, because I want to feel like I'm making a difference. Even if I reach one person each day, that's one more person that I didn't reach yesterday. I love bridging mental health and fitness. I love making that connection. That actually is what gets me out of bed in the morning, is finding ways to help people feel good on the inside so that they're motivated to feel good on the outside. Because that, I know for me personally, if my emotional health is good, then I can do anything physically, but I have to feel strong inside. So fitness, movement, body confidence, those are all part of my values. Okay. So also taking on challenges. I don't know about you guys, but I love to take on challenges. I just wrote a chapter for the Women's Fitness Specialist program, and it really took me out of my comfort zone. I hadn't written a full chapter in a long time. Doing all that research was a really, really good thing for me. Okay. And last but not least, my values is I don't look to be happy. I don't necessarily believe in the word happy. I just want to be happy. That's not my goal, but my goal is to find moments of joy and to be grateful enough to appreciate that I had those moments of joy. My whole day doesn't have to be joyful. My whole day doesn't have to be full of laughter. But if I can find moments of joy, then it was a good day. Okay. So quite simply, if you didn't like those questions about the funeral, you can also just ask yourself, what's important to me? You can also ask, what motivates me? Or you could ask, what does my perfect day look like? So if I could just have a perfect day, what would that be? And I guarantee you that that perfect day would align with your values. Okay. So let's go to the East. So we know we've got the North. We know we've got what are my core values. Let's go to the East. The East is this question: what is left to be done? So what's out there that you haven't done? This is for those of you who are writing that book. We're all writing a book. Did you know? Because life is like our book. So this is for that chapter that you have yet to write. This is where you get to consider opportunities and fresh starts and new beginnings. Okay. So when you think about it, what are some things that you still really, really want to accomplish? I know there's something in there for all of you. I know there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things that you really still want to accomplish before your days are done. What's on your bucket list? Are there goals that you need to accomplish, or maybe you need to start setting some goals? Is there something you want to learn, or a place that you just cannot wait to visit, or somebody you want to meet? So the East is a place of possibility. This is where you think about what could be, not what should be, but what could be, what's next, personally and professionally. So I had to think about this one. So again, I'm Angie Miller. This is Strong Mind, Strong Body, and I'm talking about resetting your personal compass. And I talked about starting out in the North with your values, and in the East is, what's next. Okay. So what's left to be done for me is I want to write a book. Don't tell anybody, but that's been on my bucket list since I was like first beginning to be a reader. I was always a reader, and I always wanted to write a book. I would love to travel to India and go on a meditation retreat. Can I be gone for like a month? I don't know. I want to travel with those that I love and see more places. I want to take some of those certifications that I've been putting on the back burner. I want to speak in countries where I've never spoken before. And because I have grown kids, someday I want to hold grandbabies along with fur babies. Okay. All right. So let's go to the South. So I had said when you get to the South to ask this question, what is getting in my way? So again, we're talking about resetting our personal compass. So if the North is your values, the East is what is left to be done for me, then the South has to be what the heck's getting in my way. If I know these things, then what's standing in my way? So I run a women's program called Emotional Motion, and it's a reset or reboot program for women in midlife and beyond. And it is where we bridge fitness, mental health, and emotional health. And I always have the women who take this program start with an emotional detox. So you could call it a worry detox or an emotional detox. I have them spend 3 to 5 minutes, not verbally vomiting, but vomiting onto a piece of paper, everything that is in their mental space that is holding them back, getting in their way, or, worries, fears, concerns, anything that they feel is keeping them stuck. And so again, instead of just having them say it, I have them write all of those things on a piece of paper. And then when they're all done, I have them shred that paper into tiny pieces. So when you do this emotional detox, and sometimes I'll be honest with you, sometimes I end my day with an emotional detox, like everything I need to let go of from that day. And then I start my morning with gratitude. So it's a great way because it clears my head to go to sleep. I get to rip up everything that's standing in my way. And then I get to wake up and think about what I'm grateful for and get in my Zen moment. So again, I'm Angie Miller. I am talking about resetting your personal compass. And I talked about values. I talked about what is left for you to still do. And now I'm talking about what the heck is getting in your way, right? We have to think about those obstacles, like the quicksand that keeps us stuck, but we're really not stuck. We just feel like we are. So let's go back to that emotional detox. Let's say that you want to write down all these things, but you're like, I don't want to throw this away. I kind of want to keep this as a guidepost. You can do that. Sometimes I'll tell my women, I don't want you to throw that away. I want you to do this every single day for like 2 weeks and see if there's common themes that keep coming up over and over again. Like these worries that continually weigh you down and won't go away. And then determine, what role am I playing? Okay. What role am I playing in those worries? What role am I playing in staying stuck? What can I do to make a difference? And then, one of my favorite sayings is, where do I have positive control to make this not be a sticking point for you? So this area of your compass is where you think about what's getting in your way, figuring out how to let it go and leave it behind. And this is where you could also ask yourself, am I holding on to resentments? Are there grudges against people or situations that I just don't want to let go of? Because remember, forgiveness is that, when you don't forgive, and you stay angry with somebody, you're still connected to that person because anger takes a ton of emotional energy. And so when you are able to forgive, and I didn't say forget, and I didn't say, you have to love this person forever, but as soon as you're able to forgive, you're able to let go of those ties that bind. So are you holding on to resentments or beliefs that are no longer working for you? Are you doing things personally or professionally that don't really align with your values? Like, what if I had said yes to that, writing that chapter, and it didn't align with my values? That thing took me weeks, days, months, and hours to write. That would have been a whole lot of time expended if it didn't align with my values. That would have made me feel really, really uncomfortable, not in a good way. So what about, are you hanging out with people who don't make you feel safe? People that when you go home, you feel exhausted because you feel like you weren't able to be completely authentic around them. Or maybe you've got some relationships in your life where people take more than they give. Maybe there's some activities or commitments that you're still involved in and they're not bringing you joy anymore. Maybe it's fair because at one point they brought you a lot of joy, but maybe they don't anymore. So maybe just ask yourself, what do I need to let go of in order to live my best life? Because sometimes when things are weighing us down and the world feels really, really heavy, it's really just one or two things that are kind of getting in our space, but it feels bigger than it is because sometimes we have a tendency to globalize that, if you will. So, with this detox and these questions, you can kind of get some better ideas of what is it that's getting in my way? What is it that's keeping me stuck in this space? And then also, instead of keeping it up here, you get a chance to put it on paper. So what's getting in my way? Well, I had to think about this one. Don't tell anybody, but one of the things getting in my way is that perfectionism and that need to please. I keep waiting for the day that I'm going to outgrow that, but I'm working on that and I'm a work in progress. For me, putting a lot of pressure on myself is getting in the way. I don't know about you, but I think as fitness professionals in general, we tend to have these very high or elevated expectations. And maybe another thing getting in my way is sometimes I say yes to things that don't align with my values because I feel like I should, and I start shoulding myself. So think about that. What's getting in your way? All right. And then in the West, the last question is, am I ready to get started? So Stephen Hayes says that he calls this committed action, because he says, what good are values if you're not going to live them? Like, you can say that you have these values, but are you actually committed to changing your compass? Like, you can know your compass is out of whack. You can know your car needs servicing. You can know you need to go to the doctor, but you can be like, oh, I'm going to turn a blind eye. I don't want to face this right now. But it's still going to feel like you're swimming upstream. You're not going to be living that life full of meaning. And it's going to feel like you are always kind of trying to function, but not really feel fulfilled. So committed action is about taking steps to reset your compass and kind of going in a direction that's guided by those values, letting go of whatever's getting in your way, considering what's left to be done, and then being like, all right, let's go. Let's hit the accelerator on this one. So before I get to these last questions, again, I'm Angie, and I am talking to you about resetting your personal compass and how to use a compass, how to use north, east, south, and west to define what it is that you really want out of life so that you can maximize your time. So here are some questions that you can ask yourself when you're thinking about committed action. Maybe start with this. Where will I be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years if I continue doing what I'm doing today? And does that picture of where you'll be look anything like that picture that you created in your mind when you were talking about your personal values? How closely aligned are those? So in other words, how does the way you're currently spending your time align with what matters most to you? So again, are you just busy, or are you busy doing what it is that you most want to do? And then, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis that's getting me closer to where I ultimately want to be? And another question could be, what are some small steps that I could take every single day just to get me a little bit closer, further from my sticking points and in the direction of my possibilities? So think in terms of, what do I still want to do in this world? And what are some small steps that I can take every single day? How can I like chip away at it? Okay. And I have one last question for you on this committed action. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it for you to reset your compass? And then on a scale of 0 to 10, how committed are you to being able to do it? Because it could be very important to you, but are you actually committed to taking the steps, doing the hard work? And then the last question is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident are you? Confidence, I feel like, is an easier one because you can bring people into your web. You can go to those people that you're connected with, those people who are the wind beneath your wings. And you can say, hey, I need a little boost here. This is something that I want to do. So, and my last question for you is, if this is my last day on this earth, what would I be doing? And there again, that's aligned with your values and that's aligned with committed action. So again, I'm Angie Miller, and this was all about resetting your personal compass. And to me, it doesn't matter if your life is going exactly the way you want it to, or if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable and you're feeling like you got off track. I think it's a great idea to always continue to check in with your compass, because again, our values change, our priorities change, our purpose changes. Things happen in our lives, and it makes us look at our life through a different lens. People pass away, we get different jobs. Maybe we have babies or we have grandbabies. And again, that just changes the direction of our life and how we're spending our time. But we really want to stay as true and clean to those values as possible. We really want to think about where it is that we still want to go and things that we want to accomplish before it's too late. We want to think about what's getting in our way. And last but not least, we want to think about, am I ready? Am I committed to these action steps? So again, I'm Angie Miller. Thanks so much for joining me on this very personal podcast about resetting your personal compass. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm curious to hear how this worked for you, and I will see you next week.